Okay, so I got a little bit of time to live stream. I'm gonna try to do some standing. I had stuff there and then I moved it. And this I probably could put over there. But once I unplug it, it shuts off. So anyway, I'm gonna be going outside in a minute anyway, so yeah, it's pretty hard not to smile when you wake up to this every morning. Like, seriously. Just yay. Anybody that knows me, right? Yay, you just go, yeah, yeah, dust it right off you, right? There's definitely something seriously wrong with you, dude, and just bye. 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 That's what I said Tuesday. Bye. Just I'm not listening to anymore. Bye. Right. Just it ain't me, it's you. There's something seriously wrong with you. Bye. So miserable, miserable fuck. Right? Just a miserable, miserable, mean fuck, and all he cares about is getting high. It ain't about drinking. I'm sure the person knows that what I'm saying is the truth. Right? You just go, okay, dude, you can't see all that? Okay. Can you see that Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida? Can you see that his wife worked with Al Gore at the Golf Channel? Can you see that? Fuck you. It's called denial because clearly you're damned. It's not just about an extinction. It's not just about the nuclear stuff. It's because you know that you're not going to quote unquote heaven. That's what you know about yourself as a psychopath. They keep talking about this thing in Dedham too, and you go, so what are you guys what are you making up that means? And then they interview people that are in a severe denial and have severe brain loss. Right, that's why the hospitals don't call me. Even though it's illegal, they will commit illegal acts. There any amorality because they're not going to face me, and I represent reality. Right. So, do they in the mental hospital not know who Ron DeSantis is? Because this is Massachusetts, right? But he ran for president, and he's been all over the television. So, uh, ordering him to be on the television again. So we'll get to that. I'm pretty sure it was 2023. He was all over the television telling you that they had stuff at aggregate casing, which is dry cast, aggregate housing, which is dry cast, that they store spent nuclear material in. 80 degrees in St. Martin today. 80 degrees in St. Martin today. So a month from now, how cold could it possibly be? 70 degrees? It's not going to be 70 degrees here. 70 degrees will feel like 85 degrees. Thank you, God. Right. This time, I don't sit in a room in Hyde Park crying, drinking Coronas, and smoking cigarettes. Nope. I don't do that. If I'm going to do that, I'm doing it on a cruise ship in a hot tub with a whole bunch of other people. Done. Right. Just hanging out at that shelter last year isn't gonna do it. Right? You just go hanging out at that shelter, like half of those people don't know what the fuck is going on either. And then I got to hear about everything that this insane person is doing. Right? Just it keeps it going on when you know that. Yeah. Like obviously you want to know. Like when you're done with it. Yeah. When you're done with it, you want to know how good is his life going today. Do you think? Not good. He hasn't even been on Facebook, so it ain't going good. Get it? Like his wacko druggy friend is engaged. That's what they do when they're telling people it's going good and they're in their persona and they try to pretend they're regular people. That's what they do. Sober again, this and that. Wait for disgusting neutered males with severe brain loss that hate women to come around and steal you from Mary or whoever it's going to be next. Just let's do a couples photo and stick it up on the Facebook. Dude just spent a year and a half doing that. From the second he put a photograph of me on his Facebook page, that's all it's been. It's similar to 2023. Nobody would have anything to do with this person. Okay? Nobody. He's hanging out with that Chris guy and Charmaine and Martin. Remember all that at the friggin' crypt? And then the second he tells people he's going out with me, every disgusting animal wants something to do with him. That's a reason to keep going back to a person because he knows it. He's known it since he met me. It was bad in 2023. I'd go out, I was like screaming at people. Here comes friggin' Lulu that I've met years ago at the shelter. She suddenly wants something to do with the guy that's disgusting because she perceives he's my fucking boyfriend. Oh yeah, just the most grotesque animals. Remember that with "Can I drink out of your bottle?" and drinking half a thing I gave Brian and then telling him to drink it? Ugh. Here, have some of this vape with my spit on it. My mind, I just can't. I'm not dealing with it anymore. I'm not dealing with it anymore. That people that fucking gross. Not. And nobody will tell these people that they have severe brain loss. They won't tell them that because they're sick themselves. Yeah, they're not giving them a proper diagnosis. I explained it, so I expect a lot of this funding to be shifted from the shelters are gonna close, sh phase into warming centers and housing, actual housing, no more shelters, no more shelters, okay? No more classes and all this, and people are making $15 to just sit there, literally in a room, and you're told you have to go to it to keep your bed. All that stuff's going away. There's not gonna be those types of shelters, warming centers, public showers, housing, institutions, okay? Um, like, I really would like it to go through the executive branch, okay? I would like it to go through the executive branch. You're not gonna have any more of these detoxes, they detox people in the jail. No more detoxes, no more mental wards, which probably don't even contain people with mental health issues anymore. It's nothing but drug addicts. That's been going on for years. I saw some of it in a mental hospital, as you call it, and then I was told by another person a couple years later. That's all it is. They're defrauding the government to get money, and then they're letting druggy homeless people stay there, and they're making up reasons they have to stay there, and they're getting them on worse and worse drugs. Okay. right? You get them on worse and worse drugs, like benzos, and then some of this like Seroquel, benzos. That's like the hardcore drugs going on that they're putting these people on. Okay, because all they care about is money. They're not trying to help people. Never once have they helped Mary, so they're not trying to help the homeless. They want money, and that gets worse and worse as they're more brain sick. They're less and less qualified. They want to drive a sports car. They want an apartment. That's what they do for work. They don't care what happens in the work. They don't care about the people. Okay, that should make sense to people. You're morally depraved when you don't even contact me. Okay, so that facility will either be some of their abilities will be taken from them where they won't do detoxes anymore. That's the first line of defense, where they won't do detoxes anymore, and then probably they won't be able to dispense medication, especially if it's classified as a narcotic. This shit with the gabapentin, that stuff's gonna go away too. They won't stop giving it to that dude who does not have neuropathy. Okay, just their brains are gone. They won't stop dispensing narcotics to these people for no reason. Okay, just why are they not on lithium if they're that sick? Why would a person be on 15 pills? Just put them on lithium salts. Because clearly, if you're on lithium salts like that, you're not going to keep rotating around all the different services where all those people make money. It's really quite disgusting. Even when you know these people are psychopaths and they're maggots, you're not allowed to keep doing that like that. That's fucking disgusting. They need to be on lithium and just put in a jail. A jail can dispense lithium salts, okay, and then they just drool in a jail cell. They tell them to take a shower, they give them the thing, the orange thing they wear, and they feed them. That's all that's needed. They don't need a class. They're in jail. Seriously, like I said, it was going fine out in Quincy where that guy would stick him in a holding tank for 3 days. Right. So anyway, this horrifying, horrifying when you finally realize what's going on. Why would they give these people all this stuff? Because they're getting paid. It's paid for by the government. These people don't use, they might use Mass Health, but there's allotted funding for it. They probably, when they put someone in one of those halfway houses, they probably get a check, okay? And then the person leaves, they don't give a fuck. They already got paid for the year. Okay, so, right, just half of them probably they don't report back to the government that the person left. We went over some of this about the room that the criminals at Father Bill's did. Okay, they probably they told me themselves. They told me themselves. They charge Mass Health like it's a sober house or something. And then after they forced to be out after 3 weeks, they put another person in the same room. Okay. The DTA office refused to stop saying I was living there. They refused to stop lying and saying I lived at that address for like 2 years. They did it. Okay. So that's pretty depraved. Pretty depraved. Yeah, for the most part, money's an excuse. But now they're becoming more deranged because they're completely separated from God. And so they've got to get paid. Like it'll be a constant getting paid. And some of these other people vacationing all over the place. Like you see some of the videos, they seem insane. How can anybody be doing all that while there's homeless people? Because they're completely disconnected from Almighty God, and they're just that's why. Yeah, some of them have money, some of them work out, but they're just gone. Right, like people working at the detoxes, running the shelters, um, CSS, TSS, halfway houses, sober houses, housing for brain injury, all that. So those people can still work it, but they'll be funneled into other types of work like mopping floors, emptying the trash, scrubbing toilets, stocking food shelves. I'm a little bit leery about the personal care assistant stuff. I think that a court and the person's family should have to allot them to that because you've got people so sick, they're showing up at psych wards, they're showing up at Gavin, they're showing up at public libraries, they're going to Smith Center, and then trying to become people. It happened to a friend of mine, so you have to trust me, and I see these people and I can hear their conversations and stuff. Okay. So they would just meet they'd pick up a homeless person because they're insane. It could be someone 20 years old, 25. They think that they're social workers or they're community outreach. They pick up a homeless person. They help them get Social Security. They have them sign off all their stuff to them, and then they submit that they're going to be their caretaker, and they go into an apartment, just like that woman explained to Brian. Even a one-bedroom apartment. So right. Some of this stuff has to go before a judge for it to be legal, and Social Security clearly will just bounce back those cases and not approve them. Okay, so it's easy through the executive branch to stop it. It's easy to stop it. Okay, so we don't do that. The person has to be assessed at our facility and go before a judge. Each and every one of them. We don't care what the backlog is. The backlog is. So if you're gonna take that person into your housing oh, you don't have housing? Okay. If you're gonna take that person into your housing for the year, it could be a year and a half before it goes before a judge. Okay. So that's a way to get rid of them. Especially when some of them become demented and try to mimic what they think I'm doing, because you can tell that they in their head, they actually don't think it was a real recording and stuff. You know in their head that they don't think that, right? Okay. So then they start to believe that's a thing you do. What happened to a friend of mine? Okay. Someone offered to let him stay at her Section 8. Okay. And she began to try to take over his entire life. It was not a girlfriend. Okay. She has a boyfriend because she's sick. She began to try to take over his entire life. She went to his family when his mother was still living. She tried to have him sectioned to a hospital. Okay. Clearly, she couldn't because she's insane, but that's what she was trying to do. Okay, so that's why I said don't go into people's housing. Um, I think a couple of people said you need to get away from her. So I think that some people, right, they made up that that's what I was doing with Brian. Right. So I would be watchful of people trying to mimic what they think I was doing. And that's not what I was doing. Where you literally marry a person who's drugged out and stuff like that, and then take over the person's finances and shit, and move yourself into their housing that they qualify that you don't qualify for. Right. Clearly, I wasn't doing that. And then when the woman's talking about it, you go, I'm not, I told them I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. Like, maybe the woman on the phone will do it, and then she'll get the surprise of her life when the guy starts beating the fuck out of her. Okay, just it sounded to me that it's a possibility that a person and Ben may not even know this, but maybe he does. You have to remember these people have profound morbid mental insanity. It's morbid because it leads to their death. It's a progressive dying of the brain. Okay. So he refers him to a female who discusses that she might be able to get him into a one bedroom apartment with a caretaker, but Mary can't live there. Okay, so right. Uh, I don't know where they're getting the money for that, but it's kind of disgusting, right? It sounds disgusting. You could have a person who owns a house that begins doing that. I see people trying to rent out rooms in their houses. Okay, just hopefully there's people out there, they look up stuff online and they see it, and then that's a big neon sign on you that you're probably going to lose your house. It's not normal to rent out rooms in your house. Okay, it shows that you're sick. You've got the disease. Okay, so yeah, that's not a normal thing to rent out rooms in your house. I know from Barbara started thinking she was going to do that, and then briefly Tommy thought he was going to start doing it. And then those people out there, captives and stuff, it's, like, gruesome. You're telling a person you have to get it out of your head about they somehow know a secret thing about Mary and Brian are gonna break up, you gotta get that out of your head and stick to the facts, okay? You're talking about a person that even they won't stop suggesting to a sober married man that he go to CSS, which is for substance use, right? Okay. Or he gets rid of his wife and then gets himself a caretaker and moves into a one-bedroom apartment for brain injury. Right? Just that's pretty grossly insane. So anyway, um, I like the pretending you don't know who Ron DeSantis is. So that would mean you know, and so you go into a denial. It has a meaning to you. Each person's like threshold of shit that they can't deny anymore is different. When you say something that can't possibly be true, you're lying, that means that that indicator snaps you out of your denial. It's a denial that you can't keep denying, so you lie. You won't talk about it. You run away. You try to change the conversation. That means that indicator is breaking your denial delusion. That's why you're doing it. Like shutting me off, running away, screaming at my face, stuff like that. That denial indicator is working. Okay. So Dedham, Massachusetts, where I grew up, I actually the first time I got married, I was married at St. Mary's Church in Dedham. I went to CCD there. I took First Holy Communion. I went to Avery School. I went to Central Six, they called it, Dedham Junior High School, and Dedham High School. At the same house that Barbara Kent owned. That's where I grew up. I moved to Florida in 1995 and came back up here in 2011 and was in a house from 2011 to 2021. That's a decade as you refuse to give me housing. You refuse to acknowledge what happened to me in Florida, which is criminal acts. It's called parental kidnapping. And keeping the children hostage, threatening their lives so I won't ask for help, and as we all know, no one would have helped me anyway. Okay. You had people go deranged and they made up that all this was over alimony laws. So it was okay, that's what was going on. There's got to be a secret thing. What she's saying isn't true when you have a person on television explaining to you that it's true and anonymous. It's all kinds of witch hunts. Okay, because from 2008 to 2011, you have other people stealing people's children and their houses. Okay, so then God presents to you the literal Virgin Mother, and it happens with me, and you still keep making up that that's not going on. It's not your problem. Why didn't people do this, that, and the other? You have record numbers of children in DCF care in Georgia. I explained to you about what happened to a couple there that I met. Couldn't pay their electric bill, stole their 6 minors, adopted them out. Somehow they got shipped up here too, to the shelter I'm in, probably so I would know about it. They keep them in a shelter, refuse to give them housing until literally the husband pretends he leaves her and they give her a condo on the beach after about 2.5 years. And that's an accomplishment. It's profound insanity. Why would anyone do that? They're profoundly insane. They're profoundly insane. That's why they're doing it. Psychopaths do weird things. Um, right. So what's going on in a church in Dedham with the Blessed Virgin Mother? What's going on? Why would the Blessed Virgin Mother be in a church in Dedham when she grew up there, lived there for a decade, and you refused to give her housing? Why would you even celebrate Christmas over there? What are you making up? I know you just go. It's they have to stick to Christianity. So are you rejecting just the Pope in the Catholic Church? That's what the guy in Harvard was trying to find out. Because you have to stay in Christianity, but you go, but the Blessed Virgin Mother is right there. Okay. How would there be a Jesus when you allowed her children to be stolen and you're trying to murder her on the street? You're letting her be attacked by rapists and psychopaths in the city. How would a Jesus ever come? They don't actually believe it. That's why. They don't believe it. They don't believe in God and they don't believe in the Bible. Everything is a parable story and it, you know, represents them, of course. That's what they believe. It's like a grandiosity. It's all mothers and all children and all this. But yet, why is the world so fucked up then? Why is the world so fucked up if you're Mary, everybody's Mary that has a vagina, you're all Mary. All your children are Jesus. All the dudes that inseminated you are Joseph, which you never told Joseph fathered a Jesus. You never told that. In case you missed that part. You never told Joseph fathered a child. You're actually told the opposite of that. She was already with child, right? Of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit produces Jesus through Mary. The Holy Spirit produces Jesus through Mary. Joseph is just a person maybe who pays her bills. I explained the thing about yourself. Don't be afraid to just take yourself as your husband or your wife. Okay, so if that's the case, why is the world so fucked up? Why do your children act nothing like Jesus if you're birthing and raising Jesus? Because you're not me. And because of you, no Jesus can be birthed and raised. Okay, so when you pass away and you go to whatever your heaven is, then perhaps you'll meet a Jesus that conforms to your thought idea. But it won't be in this physical form on planet Earth. Okay. I think people saying Jesus is coming soon and stuff is helpful to people who start to lose faith because there's no Jesus somewhere. I just explained to you why there's no Jesus somewhere. There's stuff where you keep trying to say that now Mary has no meaning when you're told she's indwelled with the Holy Spirit. So clearly there's a meaning there. that you don't want to accept. It's like Bizarro. I mean, you obviously know, because why would you all of a sudden hate women and all of a sudden you have to say that Mary has no meaning? Why do you have to suddenly say that? Because you know that's why. It's called bargaining. But also, the reason your bargaining is going in that direction is because you hate women because you're neutered males. So you need to stay on top of that and make sure you're not interacting with women. Okay? Just don't interact with women at all because you're neutered males, your brains are dying, and you hate women. So do the math. If you don't want to end up in a lockup yourselves or beaten to death, then just avoid women at all costs when you know that you're doing that. It doesn't matter what you think you're doing for work. Um, when you start this insanity about now we've got to make up that the Blessed Virgin Mary has no meaning because it's all about Jesus, that's what you're doing. It's like a brotherhood of man because you're prime. It's sort of impossible to talk about what's going on with you in your brain disease without explaining to you that you're primates, which is not new news. You always believed that you were primates. You can call yourselves human beings. Human beings are primates. That's fine. But you're still primates. Okay, so as the brain is dying, you revert to innate, hopefully that's the right word, built in urges and automatic behaviors that primates do because you're losing a certain amount of brain that um, makes you human. Okay? What was I sick with? I don't understand your question. The comments that you guys can't see? Okay. What were you sick with? Was it liver thing? I don't remember stating I was sick. In this conversation, was I saying I was sick? Uh, Glad you got away from him. Well, he got himself away from me, that's the point, because he's not going to rebirth in this physical form. He's not a doodlebug. Okay, so even if somehow people could ask God to change their brain and so they can rebirth from a doodlebop and be a doodlebop because they want it, they decided they like this physical body and they want to, they're down with ecosystem and not having a world and all that, and they want to have morality. That person named Brian Buchanan chose on Tuesday night, once and for all, he doesn't want that. That's what he chose. And only fear of death converted into psychopathic actions causes phone calls. That doesn't mean a mental hospital is free and clear. Not at all. Don't get confused with your damnation and your diagnosis and explaining to you what's going to happen next. Okay. That's fear of death because he knows it's certain death. He explained it to me after the brain surgery. He knows that. So sometimes he gets dramatic because I think he knows what he's actually saying and then he denies it. For like from Spalding, I want to be with my wife. Fear of death is not a desire to live in this bodily form. It clearly ain't working out good for him because all he wants to do is intoxicate, and that kills the body. So that's clearly not an acceptable way of life in this physical form. It's just not a brain that's working out for that cycle, as many of you. Like, these physical bodies aren't working out for your desires. You don't have the same desires that doodlebops do. Uh, you don't have the same desires I do. Um, you don't actually want to love. You don't believe in monogamy. You don't want that type of intimate uh, connection with anyone, friend or lover. Uh, right. Monogamy scares the shit out of you and seems boring. You don't want to be with one mate and that's it. And then clearly you could be blonde, redhead, whatever rebirth you're in. You don't even want that because you don't want to be with one person for eternity. That you don't want that, and other people do. You ever hear the people with the soulmates and stuff? That's what people want. Okay, so you know right off the bat you don't want that, that you get bored, that you constantly you're checking out people and you constantly want something. Within the same cycle, you want something fresh and new. You don't want the innocence like Dawson's Creek without all that added sex stuff, where you meet somebody and not your 13 and 14 raping and your parents are pedophiles and she won't let you ejaculate into her and stuff, and then you'd both drug addicts and still keep saying that's, they weren't doing that shit in Dawson's Creek, by the way. As adults, you're 22 or older, you court, right, proper, you marry, you produce maybe children, you live a life, you have all those life memories and with your children, you have grandchildren, you like each other, you go through all the ups and downs. You don't take off because your wife's mother is dying. That's a deal breaker. You don't decide that's the night you're gonna take off. Bye. Really bye. So anyways, the marriage is a commitment that an insane psychopath doesn't believe in or understand. You don't marry someone you don't even like, love, have lust for. You don't marry that person. That's mentally insane. So, anyways, you folks don't want that. It's too boring for you. You're all liberated and progressive. You you want to have flowing genders. You want serial monogamy, as you call it. Some of you want to make harems, whether you're the female with all these dudes or you're a dude with all these females. You don't want to be doodle and you people don't bother me, right? The problem is psychopathic males and some psychopathic chas that you're allowing to prey upon me because you won't give me housing and a means to live. You won't even give me a means to leave Massachusetts, which is probably right now the worst state on the land piece. Maybe California, because it's Massachusetts and you're used to giving out all this money for social programs. So it's particularly bad here. I noted it when I came up here from Florida that Florida did not have drug problems like that. Okay, so this is probably the worst state in the nation. It makes sense as to why I would be sent here, but not you leave me in a pit being raped and terrorized and potentially beaten by insane people that have half a brain. Okay, so apparently there's going to be some tears. There's going to be some bonding with other males whose wives died. You're going to get that. It's disgusting to me. Okay, you're going to get that compassionate suffering, sorrow bond. You're going to constantly talk about things that are sad, like you're constantly watching a sad film and crying. And Barbara did all that too. They love it. They love it. That's why they love this insanity about Jesus is whipped and stuck to a cross and crying out to his mother and crying out to God. To me, it's absolutely horrifyingly disgusting. Okay, but that's clearly the one video I showed with the two dudes, the one wife died and the other one did die. He has a whole slew of them. He's interviewing all these people, and all they're doing is talking about their tragedy and fucking crying and bonding. You just go, oh my God. Sometimes, right, you go, that seems pretty insane, Mary, does it? Okay. Here's 14 videos of it. Right. There's some people that are pretty insane. Just be grateful that you don't have to. I guess, in a sense, you don't understand what you're looking at when you view it. And unfortunately, I do because it's part of my job. God explains it to me. Right. So clearly, the woman has dementia, right? And I was born from her, so I'm familiar with her underlying and stuff. Okay. And then I'm in a house with her for a decade observing her. Okay. So when you start with the similar speech and the similar behaviors, I explain to you what you do. That is how it works. You really need to talk to a doctor about what residency is and rounds. That's how you learn things. It's not just a textbook. Right. You learn from patient interviews, observing patients. That's probably doctors explaining to you cases of patients and what they did. That's medical school. After all that heavy duty stuff that I didn't do, like I explained. Yeah, that's a lot. So that's why you're not going to have a lot of psychiatrists because of the brain thing that everyone's having. Everyone, including myself, is having it. It's just that I'm in such a contact with God, it's not really as noticeable. And I'm not a primate, but everyone is having it. So you're not really going to have all those high skilled people. I explained it. That's a lot to be a psychiatrist. So you think what a surgeon has to do. Okay, it's a lot. So once the brain stops going, they know it's not safe to keep working. They are supposed to take an oath where they swear to do no harm. It's called the Hippocratic Oath. Are you harming people by putting them on Klonopin and Xanax and Ativan? Are you harming them? They don't care. They don't even know anything about that. They're not like that level. They're not doctors, these people. I don't believe God allows them up the chain. Let's put it that way. Right? God doesn't allow them up the chain. They just don't cut it in that. You don't have to order PT-1s, Katie. You don't have to order PT-1s and deal with Mass Health and all that. When you're a personal care assistant, okay. Um, right. When you're wiping people's butts, you're changing diapers, you're putting lotion on their skin, you're handing them drinks, you're changing bed lining, you're mopping floors, you're emptying the trash. You don't have to deal with any of that. That's how we help each other in your species. I don't It's not even like an insult, it's just that's what the need is going to be. That's what the need is going to be. These people are not they're not gonna do recovery. They may be forced to get off of narcotics because the narcotics won't be available. There's not a reason for narcotics to keep being produced here, okay? You have certain drugs that are end of life drugs so that people don't suffer. Uh, all that stuff that Brian Buchanan was on, alls it basically I could tell it does is make him sleep. So what's wrong with lithium salts at that point? I know when you have a cardiologist examining him when he's there for a brain injury, and apparently he says to Brian, "You can work, right?" How can he work, sir? How can he work? Okay. He is a psychopath who flies into fits of rage. He's a drug addict. Okay. He has to be on 15 medications to keep him calm. He can't work. He can't mentally function to work. No, he can't stand for any period of time. He's not going to be able to figure out how to do stuff because the medication is making him sleep. Because otherwise, it's Tuesday night and beyond. Even on the 15 medications, sir, he still did that on Tuesday night. He still did it. What spurred it? I thought I explained it. He's on a phone talking to whoever. Um, and the guy that came in that Steve was watching his stuff, or Steve knows who he is, I believe it has something to do with that. If you were to ask me, that would be my first guess. It has something to do with that. Does that guy smoke crack cocaine? Who is that guy? Is he homeless? Steve would know. I don't believe for any second of the day that it has something to do with my mother being sick. I don't even think it's that. Or because he said something insulting and I said, fuck yourself, because he didn't take off when I said that. Okay. All I said at the bench was, I can't believe some of the stuff you say to me in that voice tone. Like, let's have a conversation about what just happened on the train. Okay. And then it was just insanity because it was completely planned, sort of like Porter. Okay. So something was going on where Brian came into contact with someone either around the library or Smith Center or on his telephone that uses crack cocaine. Okay? Feel free to, in a week or whatever, someone will tell me. First of all, I have a friend that I still talk to. Okay, so eventually I'm going to find out what the hell happened and what's been going on. Usually it's a group of people that know each other, but Brian just takes off with any stranger. Okay. Any stranger. If they have crack cocaine, right. And he doesn't care about safety for himself or anything. It's just a complete crackhead. So, right, that is what happened on Tuesday. It was completely planned, is what I'm telling you. It's the same thing he does every time. And it's not about drinking. He clearly didn't care about the vacation. Right. He's not looking up ports. All the stuff my sister's doing, Brian didn't do any of that. He knows that every second of his life he's going to take off. He knows that there's a very minimal chance he's ever getting on that cruise. He knows it, even when it's only 30 days away. He knows it. Right. He just goes. Do, 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 do. He just knows that every second he's going to take off. I've discussed it with people. That's why he keeps all his medication in his backpack. That's why he does it. Right, because sometimes you go, "Why don't you just leave some of that in the storage? Or coming back here tonight." He knows it, and I once at the shelter, I observed it. Remember that? I remember the day specifically, and it was the day he fucking took off. Why are you taking your backpack with you? Well, in case we needed to carry food, which we never put food inside of it because we went to the store after that. We never put food in it. He took off that day. That's why he did it. For some reason, it was probably so I would know. God made him think that he had an attachment to that backpack or he made it up. Okay. And so you would know why are you taking it out of your locker? Because he knew he was going to take off and he wanted his backpack. Um, then when he got suspended in September of 24, he wouldn't even take the bag of clothes out of the locker. Right before we left, I said, "Get your clothes," and he said, "No." And it had the clothes he wore to our wedding, the wedding shoes. He has none of that matters to him. But a radioed fucking backpack that he found peanut butter sandwiches in matters to him. All that matters to that dude is drugs. That's all that matters to him is drugs. Just know that. That's all that matters to him is drugs. Everything else is a lie. I don't know because it's pretty low level psychopathy because he's probably reduced capacity. Okay, just yeah, I mean there's a lot think about psychopaths that own property and billions. Yeah, some psychopaths have really high aspirations for what matters to them. Right. So the ones that can't obtain anything, those are like the ones that live in a complete misery where just everything is envy. Right. From what I can gather from this dude, the envy is ever having a normal life. He envies that because he can't do it. He can't be physically fit. He can't overcome obstacles in his life. He can't stop using drugs. He can't stop smoking cigarettes. Right. He has like no ability to do that because he's a psychopath and doesn't ask God to help him because he doesn't want to. It's a mental illness. Try to get a hold on it. I know just but this and that because he doesn't want to. It's a mental insanity. Right. They don't want to stop doing something, but they want to be you. That's why it's insane. And you go, just let God transition you into something where all that makes sense. Because you won't have a mixed brain anymore where you're supposed to try to do all those things, dude. It's called a Neanderthal. You're supposed to try to, all of you, you're supposed to try to do that life. That's why you get mad and shit. Yeah. Okay. The ones that are not sick like Brian, you can be much more comfortable if you attempt to embrace Christianity to get off of the drug use because how are you gonna do the American family while you're on drugs? That's why you are in such a misery. Okay. If you can embrace the Christianity to get you off of the drugs and try to work and try to have a husband or a wife, and if you have children, you don't have to have children, get a dog, get an apartment, then you can walk around with your head up and meet people and be like a regular person. People like Brian are lost in terms of that. It has nothing to do with you're somehow going to be saved and rebirth in this physical form. It has to do with being happy for the rest of the time here until you pass away, until you die. Okay. People like Brian Buchanan are lost. He's not going to be able to do that. Right. As weird as it may sound grandiose, but it's not about sex and sexuality. Okay. I wasn't forcing him to have sex. It's been almost a year. Did you see me leaving him or right? It's not about sex, okay? I represent something that he can't stop rejecting. It's not what he wants. Right? You could have a Christian couple and that's not your business. They're not doing it either. Right. Um he can't even do that. Okay? He cannot do it. I don't know how long she's gonna be gone, so I'm taking advantage of doing the live stream. But when I go to smoke, I don't like to leave this on in case she comes in because it violates her privacy and she doesn't even know the thing's on. I'm never at some given time talking about shit like behind her back or anything. It's just I'm sure she doesn't want to hear it either. We just have regular conversations. Sometimes we talk about briefly about Brian. It's really not all the time. Like this is sort of for this. It's there's a guy upstairs, Lennon. Lennon lives upstairs. Like literal Lennon, yes. He's actually really, really nice, but something's happened in the past year where he's more sort of reclusive, which is unfortunate. And it probably has something to do with the world, right? He's probably upset about just everything, right? When he's walking around, sometimes I think it's the noise of her opening the door. That's not. Went over the thing about the weirdness yesterday. I do. I think a lot of it is like they somehow found out that I'm here and they're pissed and so they're trying to cause a problem here and they're using Barbara Kent as the excuse. And I explained the dynamics in that family. Uh, I think that she actually wants to see her mother before she dies, yeah. And then and no, I'm not going there for her sake. Yeah, as much as I would like to be able to do that for her, I can't do that. I don't want to. Yeah, a friend can take her there, and that's probably more appropriate. It's better for her if someone outside of the family takes her there because the other sister is very sort of aggressive and stuff, right? Just the bizarre nature of someone texting and asking if he can mediate between. He doesn't even live in Massachusetts. You go. That's why the woman, okay, people should have been notified while she was in the hospital. Okay, people should have been notified while she was in the hospital because then they could have gone and visited her. And there's no reason for other family members to be in the room because there's nurses and doctors making sure she's okay. Get it? So now you're in a situation where she's got to go to that person's house and she wants nothing to do with her. Right? So I don't think it would be beneficial for me to go with her. Get it? Because then the other sister still thinks that she does whatever the fuck she wants. Right? I think it's better if a friend of hers takes her. Maybe even two friends that are not in the family. So I just saw her in May. I'm fine with that. I lived with her for 12 years. So I did I forget what day it was, but I don't know if it was the last time. I think it was the last time I was here with Brian. I had a horrifying nightmare that my mother died. And I remember in it that I was saying something about she was the only person who always gave me a place to stay. And it was, yeah, it was pretty upsetting. And then when the text came in, he probably thinks I make it up because I probably should have told him that day, but I can't discuss anything with him yet. He doesn't care about anything to do with people's emotions or anything. He's completely detached. He's not in action. That's not even a boyfriend. That's not a friend or a boyfriend to anyone. Um, just know this: if he pretends interest in you, because I've seen him doing it with people he's hustling, it's a con job. Okay. People have a hard time going, yeah, well, that's because he just doesn't like you. It's not just because he doesn't like me. He's a psychopath. He's just conned you. He says whatever, same thing. He would have told you anything. He pretend to know this and that about you and da da da. It's all a con. I watched him doing it to that John O'Connell guy. I see how he talks to people, and then he'll say shit about you to me. I know you just go, whoa. He probably does the same thing to them with me, and that's how they know how sick he is, those people. They go, "Dude, you what the fuck?" Like, the second he opens his mouth and says something bad about me trying to go back with them, that's when they realize how fucking insane he is. And they know that he's doing that when he talks to me, they know it. Yeah, like, it can take you a while to realize they're doing that with you because all the people they're talking to are druggies, and those druggies don't like you either. But when you go right, so at first you just think he's sober and not sober. It's not that. One of the red flags about it is suddenly he didn't like my friend Jerry. Just for no reason, he doesn't like my friend Jerry. Yeah, because he's staying with a female. If they never had anything to do with each other, female, he thinks that you do. Yeah, he thinks you want his dick, not you wanted his Adderall. He literally thinks that. So now he's upset because you're friends with Jerry. Right, and you're letting Jerry stay there because clearly you didn't let Brian move in with you. That's why he's mad. It's a psychopath. I know. Don't get confused about he actually likes you. He's mentally insane. Like every female is his mother or something, and now it's he couldn't move in with you, but Jerry can. I got mixed up with that too, because when he first started telling me about it, I thought that maybe he was wanted to get with her or something. He doesn't want to get with anybody. He's just deranged. Right, you just go it makes sense. They were Adderall addicts and he had Adderall. It's just like Colleen, right? Just but he'll use that to try to fuck with my head, right? Probably just like he's gonna tell his family he has friends and shit when they're just people that want drugs or whatever. Someone to kick it with that night or something, and then they realize that how fucking what this guy is. He's either high as a kite like that while you are or whatnot, or all that's it. I suppose I should take my walk today. I don't think I've gone 5 or 6 days in a row. You gotta go, like, 5 or 6 days in a row before you contemplate taking a day off, or unless you're ill or something. I think I'm relaxed. Yeah, sometimes I'll go, "Yeah, I feel a little bit kinda tired today." I think I'm relaxed. I just went through hell on earth for 2.5 years on many levels. Yeah, it's in the immediate, it sucks because I can never relax. I'm not like in housing I can stay in, right? It's even different from when I could go to like Dedham or when I was in that house in my park. That was different because clearly that's it. You're just there until the next time Barbara flips out and kicks you out, and then you can go to the shelter. So it's been different since Tommy died. So it'll be 2 years in April. So I've been under a tremendous amount of stress. I'm not typically even stuff has happened to me. It's never been this bad. So um, in the immediate, obviously, my immediate reality is not good, but in the long term, obviously, right? Obviously. Remember that? This isn't even like a real marriage, obviously. Yeah, I just 14 admittance of a psychopathic rapist, right? Obviously, that's why I contacted the Harvard shelter that day. I think he started getting up, like getting mad or something too. Like he literally thinks he can talk to me any way he wants, and I'm just gonna keep putting up with it. It's weird. Every time it's weird. It's just a weird fucking person, like his mother. It was probably shocking when his family's never gotten over it. I'm pretty sure he went to his brother's for a while, and his brother told him to get the fuck out, and it was probably shocking to him then. Right, you just go, he like I told you, he got like that here last year. Remember? Like it's part of his mental illness, and it could be because if he knows another person uses like marijuana, he thinks that's it. Oh yeah, that's it. That's a bond. Oh yeah, just your sister thinks you're crazy too. I'll have you kicked out of here tonight. And you go, what the fuck? Like, how did you get this like emboldened? Yeah. He told me stories about other females he befriended. He supposedly was friends with them, and they did the same thing. They let them stay there, right? And then he tells himself that when and he probably told her that he told me he told her that, and it probably wasn't true. He tried to stay with her family after they got kicked out. He tried to stay with not the ex, a friend. And then he told her, "Your family doesn't even like you. I can stay here, but you can't." He's completely fucked in the head. Mean, psychotic. Yeah. I doubt that was even true. And when she told her family what he was saying to her and stuff, they probably went, "What the fuck? How is a person that like they probably got weirded out and scared. How is a person that fucking insane?" Right? Like, he doesn't have a family, his family has no bonds and stuff, so he thinks that whatever it is about him, the drug use is an actual bond. The weird sex, the drug use, that's a bond, and everyone hates me and likes him, just like he said he believes that. It's a mentally insane person, it's part of being delusional. What they probably do when it seems like that, they make up something else. Right, they make up something else. He tells himself, "I coulda gone there. I just fucked up and left and drank." He's not gonna tell you he smoked crack, right? He'll tell you the same lies. Um, and you go, "Okay, I'm not understanding this, though. If you coulda gone there, why did you purposely not go there? Why did you purposely not go there? You're sleeping on the ground, and it's 2 days until you have a place to stay for a week and a half. Why did you purposely leave?" I don't know. I don't know. I run away from everybody? Okay, that's not making sense, though. That clearly worked for you in the past, dude, but that's not making sense. Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't. Okay, well, I'm talking now. I only ask 4 questions and then I talk. I'm not a psychotherapist. Okay? No, that doesn't make any sense. So you're mentally insane. It makes no logical sense. You're you're here, you're allowed to smoke cigarettes, you smoke that CBD stuff, right? So it makes no logical sense, like, you're mentally insane. You can't make logical, reasonable choices for your life, right? A sane person, okay, as much as you don't wanna hear this, dude, a sane person, even though you go, "Oh my god, how am I gonna get a fuck away from this chick?" Okay, first of all, you shouldn't be telling the woman you love her every night and kissing her on the mouth if that's the thoughts in your fucking head. Get it? When you spew all that shit on Tuesday night, you're mentally insane. Get the fuck away from me once and for all because it's been non-stop. It's been non-stop since, let me think, when did it start in 2024? I just wanted my phone back, bitch. Pawn Street, and taken off to get high. It's been non-stop with you since you went to Gavin before the wedding. It's been non-stop with you. Right. You're mentally insane. You should have never married me. Not I did anything. You're fucking mentally married me. Anyways, it's been non-stop abuse, non-stop how much you dislike me, and then you won't stop the persona that comes after that. It could be similar to the rape victim, the 14-year-old. It could be a similar thing, like I explained, you just won't stop it, but they had a real relationship. Something's going on in the psychology of the psychopath where he actually loved these people that he never fucking cared about, including his own family. Oh, Buck, you never gave a fuck about that, dude. You're a psychopath. You can't care about anybody. Like I said, I theorize that psychopaths secretly think that they're good. That's my theory about psychopaths. No matter what they say, they'll retreat into how terrible they are and shit because it's like a wounded child that's brain reduced, like mentally retarded. I still believe that that's why they have so much anger because it's a constant state of hurt. They can't care about anybody. Like I know it's hard to understand that, right? Maybe if you were around one of them for a long, long time, then you'd understand what I'm saying. There's a difference between um, a constant state of hurt and actually loving someone and actually caring about someone. There's a difference. Some of it I went over if you if you had a bad mother, um, and you get disgusted by having any feelings for her because you know the person's bad and you never got past it. You never got past it. You never separated from it. Okay. You might not be a doodle bob. God didn't help you there to separate from it. That's why I don't have all these rage feelings at Barbara. That's why I don't. Okay. Um, I guess it might seem sort of sociopathic or something when, and this is something primates don't like, especially psychopaths, that a person can actually not love and care about you anymore. They actually can, and that's healthy. Um, with parents, it can be difficult, and when they die, it's actually a relief, okay, because you're not a psychopath, but the caring about a person that sort of disgusting to you and unable to actually ever fulfill a thing of a parent, it's a relief when they die. Like when Tom Kent died, I was relieved. And um, I wasn't like, good, that guy's dead. It's sort of like good he's dead, but you just go, right. So I would say that's how I feel about Barbara. Not as bad as him because she did. View her a little bit differently. I think that Tom Kent was a much worse person. okay, than her. She's a mentally ill woman that never got the proper care she should have got. And I think that she did the one thing she thought she was supposed to do. That's all she thought she would do is produce children. And clearly getting divorced was a mistake, but I mean, it seems like maybe that wasn't a good matchup for them anyway. They had that thing where they liked fighting and hitting and stuff. That's not healthy. So, um, right. I'm glad that she felt more of a sense of peace and belief in God because of me. I don't think she's a doodlebug in any way, shape, or form, but she's sort of like a nicer Neanderthal that really stuck to the Christianity. She really stuck to the Christianity. It's a person with mania that got brain disease, and then just the care was sort of minimal. Lifelong refusal to take medication for manic mania and go to therapy, and also being that socially isolated. Obviously, there was a lot of weird abuse going on because I believe that the woman was, if she's still alive, she's in a dementia now, but I believe that the woman was mentally retarded. That's just my belief. To be that narcissistic, I feel like her brain growth ended at about 9 months old. I went over all that. She seems a complete and total narcissist, which is rare. Like, she would have made a great dominant male gorilla. They do hump their own children. That's what they do as a protective measure. They do promote them to have a lot of children, but again, I actually think that part of her brain disease could have been beginning when because she clearly believed in marrying, but it could be part of her elitism, how her children are not going to supersede her in her life. Okay. Because what was going on where a woman who clearly believes in marriage, okay, has all these children with children out of wedlock. So something was going on where it was like purposely sabotaging them. Some of her psychology, she wouldn't let go of this thing where she got raped at 14. That was a real relationship. It was a family member. It was bad that people took the child from her. She wouldn't get past that. So maybe that's why she was doing it. Right? She's reliving her life and stuff. And she's in her head, she doesn't believe in adoption at all, this person. She's completely against abortion and adoption. So that's sort of irrational. So I would say that's probably what happened there. And then to some degree, she had a, I guess, pretend when she was married to Tom Kent because he was raised Catholic. She told you she wasn't raised in the church and stuff like that. She did it to be acceptable to the mother-in-law. So she clearly was not against premarital sex, which is not really a Christian thought idea, especially Catholics. So she clearly used birth control. Catholics weren't really doing that then. Right, she got involved with a man who liked an insane redhead, and that he could hit her, and that was part of their arrangement. And then she would pretend she was a victim and stuff. And then her son, her oldest son, mimicked that behavior with the girlfriend of his. So if people are wondering where that's coming from, because you absorb stuff in your head and then you don't realize you're doing it. Anyways, she wouldn't be aware of it, but it's probably good that I didn't get a degree in psychology because she couldn't count when she couldn't pass statistics. I never wanted to be a psychologist. I still don't. Like, just the credits match up where I'm 3 semesters shy of a bachelor's of science in psychology. I don't know how many credits shy I am with nutrition, but I mean, I'm not with all the current, like, that's what I majored in, nutrition. Anyways, I'm definitely not a nurse. Thank God I didn't go down that route. That's what I was accepted to Simmons College for, Simmons University, whatever it is, right? The all women's college, right? Nurse practitioner. So I'd clearly be making significant amount of money by now had I not got pregnant off college. Attempting to do the right thing. And obviously, it was a vehicle to get away from them, but I was already living on campus, so I really didn't need to do that. It was sort of not really the greatest time. So it seemed good, I guess, at the time, but I knew I wasn't interested in this dude. I had no plans to marry him whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, in a sense, but I can't really care to that degree other than explaining the person's mental insanity. Okay. Why would you marry a female you didn't have to marry? There was no reason to marry this person but to keep fucking with her head, like emotionally. There was no reason to do it. So it's something he enjoys doing. Um, so he enjoys belittling everything about the relationship, right? And then this catch and release shit. He likes going back and forth from different social groups and all things. Just insanity. Right. You never had sex with her. You don't clearly you don't like her. Why would you go out with someone that you never had sex with when you're amoral? You're a druggie. She's completely against drug use. I didn't smoke cigarettes when I met him. It was 5 years I went without smoking cigarettes. Okay, so you're talking about a basic athlete. Okay, um, so I don't think he cares what people actually look like. Like, you just go. You just, I think he cared that that Paul guy said I was the most beautiful woman he ever met in his life. I think that's what he cared about. That's why he went off with Charmaine because that guy Chris wanted to go out with her. Chris knew her from high school and stuff and always liked her. So that's why Brian did it. He's sick. So, anyways, yeah. Why? She's not pregnant. Nothing. Nothing. You just go. Don't believe a word, by the way, anybody around him. Don't believe a word he tells you about this ex of his. He cares nothing about that person, right? He cares nothing about that person. All of it is a bunch of horse shit to try to fuck with me mentally. And then whatever it is he's telling people about himself. Like, cause he watches all those forensic files and shit shows, just so you know. He's constantly watching that stuff. Okay. About serial killers and people that are fucked up mentally. He's watching it all. So he wants to explain to you why he's 38 and has no children, has never had a long-term relationship, has been homeless for like 12 years. He wants to explain that to you when he's conning you and preying upon you and making up you having a conversation he doesn't care about. That's why he brings that up. He tries to tell you he was with someone for 14 years. Okay. It's clearly a bunch of horseshit, the stuff he's saying, right? He he's a foster care kid because his parents were crackheads, his family is crackheads, and he was put in a foster home, and then he met pedophiles, and then he raped their 14-year-old daughter when he was 13. Whether or not he was encouraged to rape her, okay. And then some of the stuff he says is clearly intertwined with shit that I was talking about online. she came up to me because remember I told you the whole thing about Asian people and Michael Foran and stuff. You just go, what the fuck, man? Where are you getting that from? I just met you. Where are you getting that from? Because again, right? No, wasn't it? He went up to her. That's what I'm saying. From the very beginning, he's already fucking abusing me. At first, he acts like he's super excited that I actually want to go out with him, and then he immediately begins fucking abusing me. Immediately begins abusing me. Oh yeah, she came up to me too. And then he starts talking about this 14-year-old that he raped and that she came up to him. I mean, he went up to her, get it? He actually, that's his secret love that he's always going to have. And from that fucking second, he's got to degrade you. Yeah, so right now, if he heard me talking and he was going to prey upon another person, the persona would now tell that person, see how I came up to you? That's what he would do. And then that person, he would find other shit, right? Because he's mentally insane. He would find other shit at that point after getting the person to believe him, then he would come up with other shit. So to a certain degree, he is studying what you're doing like a child and then pinpointing fucked up shit to do to you. Right, you already told me a bunch of shit about that person that it clearly wasn't a relationship because some of the stuff he's talking about just logically, it's not yet right. It's just conversations. And then I just go, why do you keep doing that, Brian? You're so abusive and insane. There's no way you people liked each other. You're working opposite shifts for no fucking reason. You don't have any children. You already told me she makes you come in a napkin. She doesn't even like you. She's grossed out by you. But I know, just how much time was he around? Like, how long were his biological parents married before he was sent to a foster care? Were they divorced when he was sent to a foster care? Yeah, because clearly he's absorbing some of this Buck Buchanan stuff. That guy is the most disgusting person. That's why I feel bad for Marie for that because you can see that this guy is fucking horrible and disgusting, and that's why she told Brian he was lucky the guy died. She tried to explain to him how sick the person was because he was probably still talking to her like that too about how great he is, and he's probably telling her that to hurt him. And she probably tried to explain to him, um, Brian, right? Because she knows he's all fucked up because he can't see how that guy actually was. Just he he was terrible, Brian. He was a terrible, awful, awful person. Maybe she tried to explain to him why she had to give him up because she had to get away from that guy. She couldn't get away from him because she had his kid. That's why I don't know if she has contact with his family still. I'm pretty sure the aunt he's talking about is like related to that side of the family. She's related to the Buchanan, right? Just that must be the side that has all the crap used. Yeah, just clearly mental illness can run in families, yes. But it seems like yes, I don't know. Only they would know, but they wouldn't know because he's been tossed all over the place. He was in a foster care, he's living in a pedophile's house with this child, so they don't really know. They probably don't really know exactly what he used to be like, Right, if he's the same or he's degraded, if he's gotten more and more like the father, like he has mental derangement. But you have to remember he also is a heavy drug user just like the father. So you don't know if that's genetic or they're psychopathic crackheads and they destroy their brain matter, right? So and clearly there's a lot of learned meanness, like I explained, like grotesque sex offender language, behaviors. But given how terrible the father was, you just wonder how many visits did he have with this guy, right? Was the guy weird with him in the shower? Like, yeah, what was going on with him and this guy? You just go, don't let crackheads around children. Like, well, everybody's dying off, so it's not really going to matter anymore. But I mean, if you want to go over it, like in retrospect, you definitely shouldn't have even started this business with foster care kids have visits with family members, right? Some of that probably has to do with your denial about actual recovery and mental health, sick families, stuff like that. Like you always want a genetic link to people. You go, the person that's not a family. How is that a family to like a 6-year-old? Awful. Yeah, you go, people like that have rights to see their children, but I don't. You should see how insane you are at that point, I guess. But you don't, right? I actually believe in adoption and I believe in closed adoption. Yeah. Don't let people come looking for you. Really. Don't let people come looking for you, Marie. Just all she has to do is change her phone number, right? And clearly they might have her, but if she changes her phone number, right? Yeah, if a person changes their phone number, you go looking for her. He has he has a healthcare proxy. It's Mary Buchanan. It's not Marie something. That's not even. Oh, we made a mistake because her name's Marie and your name's Mary. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you did not. So you either violated Massachusetts law again, another facility, or you called no one, which is probably a violation of law too. So you're stuck. Stuck in a dominant stance like 2023, and then eventually they'll pull your funding. Well, after talking to us, he decided that he doesn't want to talk to you. That has nothing to do with day 1, 2, and 3, and 4 where you didn't notify me. You still have to notify me. Um, we just wanted to let you know that Brian Buchanan is in our facility, but that he doesn't want to speak with you. Right. I'm sure that's probably the law. Right, because even the last conversation with him is not, "I'm not talking to you again." It's, "I'm gonna go tell the director I have a healthcare proxy," and then all of a sudden, there's no more phone calls. So it's, like, really bad. Really, really bad. "What's this?" That's why I said, "What could you people possibly be doing in there? Is that a story?" Don't expect anybody to say anything. Don't expect anybody to say anything because it's similar to 2023. You just go, how are people this profoundly insane? Because they are. Because they are. Drove to see Sign. Okay. Are they saying they can see the fingerprint? No. Christians should go, oh, okay. Right. So you're clearly in a denial and running away from me. Christians should go, oh, oh, okay. So it is actually the end time. Okay. And then what happens? You go to some sort of heaven, just like you thought. Just like you thought. The problem becomes Buddhists, okay, and then they won't give it up. That's the problem. It's part of acceptance. An actual Buddhist would go, yeah, it's the end of the age. Extinction, that's a Buddhist. It doesn't mean extinguish, extinction. Okay, clearly extinguish is the same thing. Budding, 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 budding. Also, they explain that when you die, okay, whatever brain you have in your next species, that will seem real. You don't necessarily, it's okay. We don't know. You could go to space, you could go to another planet. It's almighty. We don't know that. Okay. But you could also transition into another species on Earth, right? But it will seem different to you because you're a different species with a different brain. That's your reality. Hopefully that makes sense. Not you just make reality with your thoughts. Go ahead, think a bunch of thoughts and see if it becomes real. If you think them long enough and hard enough, then they'll become real. In deep meditation, where you allow Almighty God to give you a new persona, perhaps that would be great. Some of them are probably doing that, where you do the Om, and the deep meditation, and you allow God to give you a new persona. And then those thoughts become real that you think you just thought. Yeah, letting go and letting God is scary to a lot of people. Like, I think the importance of realizing that there's a different species is, I think it's interfering with some people's letting go and letting God because they keep making up somehow, like someone like myself has to accept something and has to do something, right? Or I'm lost. Okay, worry about you. Worry about you. Clearly, if I'm spitting out exactly given prophecies and science, okay, I'm fine. The devil doesn't give knowledge to somehow make me not realize what's actually true. Okay. Right. Like I'm not being tricked by the Buddhist devil with all the knowledge. The devil can't give you an exact date given prophecy. The devil doesn't make you think about scripture. I don't need Jesus. I don't need Jesus. I'm Mary. I don't need Jesus. I explain to you what Jesus is. Okay. No, I don't need Jesus. Direct line right to the creator. So I don't need Jesus to do that for me. No, I don't believe I have free will. Nope, because I don't want it. It's a different species. I want to be a puppet. Yep, I want to be a puppet that's controlled by the Almighty. I don't want free will. Was explaining to the psychopath one day about how when I'm happy, I get more ditzy. It's just a little personal thing about myself, right? When you're under sort of duress or you're under like stress, sometimes it's like that survival, and you become more like focused mentally on what you're doing. And then when you're happy and blah blah blah, you're just like, oh, oops, and stuff like, yeah, yay. Just some of the stuff, right? You just go, some of the stuff you say to me, Brian, like, you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about me. You just won't stop trying to implant all this insanity in my head that's not going to work, right? Just you're a mean uh, bastard. You're a mean bastard that can make me feel sad sometimes, right? Just it's not a fault when you actually care about someone and then you think that you're helping a person who wants help. You believe them with the words that they say, and then all this contradictory words and behavior and stuff, right? Just terrible. The constant way he tries to make everybody think that everything that happens with them is their fault. That's definitely projecting Marie onto me, right? Just he wants her to know that everything is her fault. I already told Marie everything isn't her fault. Does she have YouTube? I already told Marie. He told me he told her in a hospital that it wasn't her fault. Remember that? And after he took off from Faulkner Hospital, he tells her it's not her fault, right? It's really not her fault, but he doesn't believe that, Marie. He still believes everything's your fault. He still believes everything's your fault. Yep. 38 years old, everything is Marie's fault. When he hasn't been in Marie's custody since he was like 5 or 6 years old, from my understanding. I don't even think Marie let him live with her, but it's still Marie's fault. Hopefully she understands, as sad as it is in that pulling at your heartstrings, he's a psychopath. Right. He potentially could still do stuff that's mean and cruel to her, is what I'm saying. Even though he may have told her it wasn't her fault, he doesn't even believe it. That's God talking. That's God talking through a psychopath. Look, stop coming here. Stop coming. And she still did it again. She still did it in June. Stop coming to the hospital. See how this doesn't even sound like your son's voice, Marie? Okay. Stop doing it. Just let it go. Right. He clearly still believes it's her fault. Some things that happened to him may have been her fault, and he needs to just never talk to her again and stay away from her. That's what you do. Sometimes that's the kindest thing you can do for a person is have no contact with them. Right. One of the things with Barbara, she wants to constantly go over everything like we're all going to reunite. She literally thought that. And you just go, oh boy. Right. Sort of like you just let her believe that me not bringing this shit up constantly means that you're forgiven, but it's, at one point she wouldn't let it go. Do you forgive me? No. Fuck you, bitch. It was like an act. It was like Linda Blair, and then she finally stopped doing it as more of her brain went. I'm not interested in any of that, Barbara. Okay, it's I'm not responsible as your child to release you of all that shit. You need to talk to God about that. No, that's the saint in me. I just because I resolved all that stuff in my life doesn't mean I'm now showing up 10 years before your deathbed and now we're going to go over this and then what happens? What happens then? Right, you go in a sense I guess it's sort of like a punishment, but then as you saw the rest of it, I just let her believe everything was okay. Why would you do anything different? Okay. If you know that someone's going to die like that, yeah, she probably will. Yeah, I feel more emotions about that, honestly. She probably will just say, "Yeah, I forgive you," or whatever. I don't want anything to do with that stuff. None of it. What would we say, really? What the fuck? I know you go, this is why I know you damned mental hospital, which is different from 2023. This is why I know you damned, because you know that I don't believe the psychopath anymore. And this is my opportunity to have conversations with it and not be harmed by it. And you're denying me of that. You're that sick and cruel. That's why I know you're damned. Beyond having brain disease. You just forgot Massachusetts law. Right. It's not that. You're fucking gone. Yeah, you go, okay, wait a minute. They let him call you when he was saying fucked up shit? Yes. And then as soon as I'm on this thing and I'm like gonna ask a psychopath questions, that there's no more fucking phone calls. That's exactly what happened. So they're fucked up sick too. You gotta trust me. Maintenance is here. I wonder if they're coming in here. I think that you are informed when they're coming to your apartment. They might be doing something next door. I don't think the maintenance cares, but who knows who cares, right? Yeah, that you could have any psycho at any time that gets mad at something you do, and they're right down there complaining when I don't even think the people themselves care. I really don't think they do. Nope, I really don't think they care. Unless there's some other problem going on, then you can pull that out of your hat like you're working at Magic Kingdom, and all of a sudden you violated 4-point system. But I don't think they care. I really don't. But at any time, some psychopath that got mad at you just goes bloop. In that respect, trust no one. Yeah, in that respect, trust no one. I would agree with that. Some people do dastardly things when they act like they're super duper nice. That's right. It's sort of like a Brian Buchanan, but they mask it way better. Like eliminating people that they are getting in the way of what they want or something like that. Yeah. Or just straight out envy. It's like I told you, the shit stirring machine that happened yesterday. Someone tried to stir shit when Brian was here, and I told him about it. It was similar to "Don't You Care That Jared Took a TV." It was similar to that, right? You just go sometimes. It was a female's voice, but yeah, sometimes, I mean, you go, "Is that some sort of family member?" Because it sounds like something a retarded child would do because they're envious. Like, it's a family problem because Barbara was like that. She didn't like her children having friendships with each other, so she'd purposely sabotage them. So that's a top behavior in that family. Once you realize that was going on, you should sort of, like, make sure you're not doing it, but not everybody likes psychotherapy. Remember when Brian Buchanan threatened that he was gonna, tell my friend Casey all this way I was talking about it? She goes, "Don't even worry about it." Right? You just go, "Don't get involved with that dude." Yeah, don't get involved with that dude at all. Right? You just go, "Okay, so you married someone and then" we were married at the time, this was last year. This was like wasn't it the, February time when you took off? Oh, yeah. You're married to someone, and all of a sudden, because you get in a fight, they go, "I'm gonna call up your best friend because you had a conversation with me once about some irritating thing she did that doesn't even have a meaning because you're maintaining a friendship, and that's what people do." That's why you go right to the person and tell them what they said, right? And then that you would think that a psychopath learns eventually, and you go, "They're not even mad?" Dude, you're so mentally insane, you have no idea how adults have friendships and shit. That's why he takes off at, "I can't believe the stuff you say to me." He just takes off. He has no connection or bonding to anybody, right? And just you go, I'm done with it. Because of many other reasons, right? But it's good in terms of like that instance just talking about that. That's not a person to go out with. He has no idea how to even maintain a friendship because he doesn't care. He doesn't care to. Yeah, he has no one in his life that he wants to maintain a friendship with where he would go, "Yeah, I said this and that." And then, because most of the time with Brian, he has to admit he doesn't even like the person, right? He has to admit that that's his whole life is pretending and that he doesn't actually like anyone on earth. He doesn't like anyone on earth. I think he likes himself 100%. Yeah. I think the shit about depression and stuff isn't true. I think he likes himself 100%, but he doesn't like any other person. I don't think I have one single friend, by the way, that I say I met people through another person. Okay. I can't think of one single instance of this. And then they brought me into their house. Okay. And then I get them removed and then I stay there. I don't have anything remotely in my life like that ever happen. Okay. So that's pretty fucked up psychotic right there. Yeah. Remember when Lupus Mary started doing that shit? She died. Yeah, I remember when someone goes, "Oh, she died," and I go, "Good." Oh, of course, she's someone who took money from me. Yeah. She lied that she would act like she was sleeping outside. And so, right, you share money, and then she'd go, "Oh yeah, when," and it's not why I gave her the money, because it's after the fact. On the first, I'm gonna get a hotel, and then we can stay there because we're both sleeping on the ground. And then she takes off. Right. She was living on Pond Street, and that's what she was doing to me. The cops had to come and tell me. The cops had to come and tell me, because then when they asked her, she goes, "Yeah, I live on Pond Street." And I was like, I thought she was lying to the cops so the cop wouldn't arrest her or something for being homeless. Nope, he was letting me know what she was doing, that she was preying upon me. She ended up taking me to the apartment. Like, she uh, knew a drug dealer. She smoked crack, and it was a drug dealer's mother's elderly housing. It was the mother and another woman. Okay, so she met these people through a did she meet them through the drug dealer? She got herself wedged into their apartment on their couch, and it was a two-bedroom apartment, and she didn't even let them come out of their bedrooms to cook food or sit on the couch and watch TV. So this is what Brian is like too, or you just know it, right? Okay. That's what she did as a crackhead, okay? She would occasionally bring other people there. She started telling us that she talked to the landlord, and that if those people left, she could just pay the landlord directly, and then she died. Yeah, you just go, you're in some elderly person's apartment. What are you talking about? Yeah, just bad. Anyways, yeah, there's some of the people I've met. All right, I guess I'll shut this off. 10:30. I don't know if I really have anything else to say. I gotta use the toilet, maybe have another cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette. Maintenance drove away, so yeah, I mean, clearly it's a lot different when you have one person and it's not a couple, and one of those people in the couple looks like a typical druggie and has a pipe in his hand, so it's a little bit different. Yeah. So he just absolutely refuses to smoke joints. So that's why, because he's a drug addict. He's a crackhead, right? That's why he likes glass. Remember when he was using a little crack pipe to smoke marijuana? Because he was probably smoking crack too. He wants to tell himself he's smoking crack. That's why you would use a crack pipe, right? Those little crack pipe things that people would buy, those roses, just the tube. I saw the dude at the warming center, that's what they use, right? So that's why he was using something that looked like that, and then he always wants a glass pipe or a pipe. Even for CBD, he had to have a pipe, and he tells lies and goes back and forth, he's so insane. First it was he's gonna roll them out, right? He's gonna roll them out because then he knows how much he's smoking and he can plan for the whole month. Okay. Then he starts trying to convince me that he smokes less of it if he uses a pipe. It's all a bunch of bullshit. You're using a pipe because you're a crackhead. That's why you're using a pipe. right? Right. What's the point of a rolling machine? Just make them skinnier. So you don't have to put as much stuff in it. It's all a bunch of horse shit. And then it's clearly to attract other people with the pipe. It's part of these people's insanity. They want people to know that they're using drugs. They're fucked up in the head. Right. Why wouldn't you just smoke that thing in a joint so people think you're just smoking a cigarette? Because he's a mentally insane crackhead. That's why. Yeah, like I told you, there's certain ways that they troll other druggies. Like in Dedham, when he knew there was no dispensary, and I kept saying, it takes you a minute to realize what they're doing. There's no dispensary here. He will keep asking people because he's looking for drugs. He would have got in someone's car probably and took off that day and left me standing in Dedham. I just know it. He tried to do it in Orlando. He tried to do it in Orlando when he realized that first he needed his ID. Okay. He orchestrated a fight as soon as we got to Orlando. It was like the first day. He orchestrated a fight. Then he realized he needed his ID was the only reason he contacted me. Okay. This sick. Then he goes to the thing and finds out marijuana is not legal in Florida. He refuses to leave the dispensary. Okay. He refuses to leave the dispensary. So I leave. I don't even believe anything he said now. He told me that the cops ended up coming, or someone said they were going to call the cops because he wouldn't stop asking every person that showed up to buy him drugs. He wouldn't stop doing it because he probably wasn't even looking for marijuana. Okay. Um, and then there was an interruption in the contacting, and all he was supposed to do was get on a bus and come back to the hotel. It was like a 5-minute bus ride, and then there was all kinds of bullshit about that too. He told me he was on the bus, then later on he said, "I'm just getting on the bus." So he lies, and even when he's caught in a lie, he'll still keep lying to you. "Oh, I was, but it was the wrong bus." They just keep lying. So yeah, I'll never have anything to do with the drug addict again. I said that a million times. I never did, other than casual friendships. I never did before, and I never will again. I don't even care if they say they're in recovery. I don't care if they say they have 10 years. I want nothing to do with drug addicts. Absolutely not. I don't believe that any of them are ever recovered from drug addiction. No. Well, that's a nice persona that God has you in. But the cop with the tattoos talking to the whore, why wouldn't a female do that? Why are you not talking to male drug addicts that somehow need your help? I know way too much. It's good because it protects me, but yeah, some people probably go, "That is so paranoid." No, it's not. You just don't wanna hear the truth. You don't wanna hear the truth about how sick people are, especially the males here. You don't wanna hear it. Why isn't he helping a male drug addict? I'd say it's more about the drugs than the deviant sex, okay? Yeah, just they never get well. I explained why. You take a drug one time that makes you that fucked up, you never use it again. Get it? Hopefully that makes sense. You take a drug one time that makes you meet males in a public bathhouse for pulling dicks. You ever use that drug again? Right? You do something horrible, right? You never use that drug again, right? That's why you just go, nope. You wouldn't get to the point of all those tattoos. Just yeah, I smoked meth once and I went right to a fucking hospital. Yeah. I went right no, I've never done it, but I'm saying Any sane person goes, I don't even know what, I didn't realize I was smoking it. I thought it was marijuana or a cigarette, and I went right to the fucking hospital and went, I think somebody put something in a cigarette. I bummed a cigarette off someone, and I'm like, just, yeah, like something seriously wrong. Can you help me? Like I did, I was, no, my mother called the poison hotline when I took LSD. That's exactly what happened. Okay, that's not how I know, but God is using that as an example for you folks. Okay. Um, I took LSD once and I had to come home and tell my mother about I needed to go to the hospital. So she called them and they said just to, it will take so much time to wear off that I didn't need to go to the hospital. And I never used it again. Okay. So the fact that you people keep using that stuff, you like it. Everything else is a lie. You want something else, you're trying to gain something else in your lives that you can't gain while you're admitting to using it, and you want more money. Okay? That's all you're doing. I don't believe you're ever not a drug addict. When you smoke marijuana and you spend the whole time praying for it to be over and then you never smoke marijuana again, I'm just explaining myself to you. Alcohol can be fun, but before you clear out all the shit in your head, sometimes you do stupid shit. Yeah. I basically got tired of getting raped. Yeah. And I have a liver disease. I got tired of getting raped and I have a liver disease. And I don't really find a bunch of time where I need to escape from somebody or alter my thoughts. Like I said, the last time I used it was so I could sleep because I was so emotionally distraught. So, because of this Brian person, that's why never again. Okay, so I knew, and Phil did this too. I knew the second that Brian was talking with that look in his eye, like a lost lover, that there's no way that that person's ever gonna get off of drugs. There's no way he's ever gonna get off of drugs. Nope. And the disgusting brain in there is gonna stay the same. A persona that might convince him to try other things to get more gain about what he wants, maybe. I talked to another person who was horrified by the meth. He talks like, "Oh, if only I could still be doing it." He doesn't regret any of it. He probably regrets having his own apartment with that female that worked in opposite shift, so he didn't have to even talk to her or see her, and he could pretend to everybody he's in a 14-year relationship. He might miss that. Like the Airbnbs where all he did was get high, he might miss that. He misses having enough money that he can just sit in his own apartment getting high constantly. I'd say he misses that. And then he can occasionally masturbate himself on camera and get money and for the drugs, just like that documentary last night. That's all their lives are because they're mentally insane. That's mental insanity. These other people have a persona that God gave them that convinces them to do other things. And then, like I said, the one with the tattoos talking to the whore, right? Yeah, that means go to AA more, and then that's the persona and the binder pulling them back in. Not he's changed inside. There comes a time for Doodlebops to completely retreat from these beings. Okay, you help them to a certain degree because clearly a lot of them are dangerous to the population, and then oh, and then you point out as I'm doing, um, so that the population knows why these facilities aren't going to exist anymore because the people running them are too sick. Ooh, those turkeys look good. Oh yeah, she said something about it. They might give her a ham and not a turkey. Turkey's pretty cheap. I could buy another one. I guess. Do I want coffee or soda at this point? No. Smoke a ciggy. I haven't fully decided about my walk, but I probably should take it. Uh, I like these pants. It took me so long, and I'm gonna have to put some thermos on over them. It took me so long to do laundry. I was like, oh my God, yay, pants that fit me. Yeah, I mean, like I said, folks, right? As soon as I got, as soon as I got to the hotel, I hadn't even showered. I went, yeah, this is what I needed for sure. Just what the fuck, man? Stay away from this person. Permanently stay away from this person. He's clearly profoundly mentally insane. Yeah, just a person that looks like that and that's his life and all he's doing is just abusing you. He never gives me a compliment. You just go, clearly, I'm a beautiful woman. Okay, clearly, I have a intelligent, beautiful woman, and this person is nothing but a sadistic psychopath. That's why I said, you go, why doesn't your society care about that, females, women? Okay, why? How has this guy not been arrested and prosecuted for rape? Just like they wouldn't do anything about sexual assault. That's not sexual assault, people. Everything I described to you is not sexual assault. You don't plan to go somewhere with him overnight. And it's clearly you're celibate. He takes your hand, puts it on his naked penis until he ejaculates, and then takes off back to Quincy Center. That's not sexual assault when he tells you he's going to a detox center? That's not sexual assault? It clearly is. Right. The coercion is that you don't stop him from doing it because he tells your sister he admits that he asked you to marry him and you're wearing a fucking engagement ring. But you would have to question in your head, even if that didn't happen and you resisted, what would he do if you resisted? He wouldn't force you to do it anyway? You haven't seen how violent and aggressive that person is? He tried to take the phone out of my hand when I was here last year. He tried to take the phone out of my hand. He said, "Give me all your fucking money, okay? I could kill you right now. I'm gonna smash your phone." He said all of that, and then when someone appears in the hallway, that is exactly what happened here last year. That's I and then I told him as he's doing this, I go, "Now you're gonna have to leave." I was actually sad too. I go, "Now you're gonna have to leave, Brian." Because I realized at that moment that he's fucked. I realized at that moment because 'cause I'd never seen him violent before. I realized at that moment that this person is dangerous and I gotta get them the fuck out of here and the fuck away from my sister, right? I realize it at that moment when he does that. And then lo and behold, he did it again in Orlando. He did it again, right? So when a person like that screams at you and says, "Give me my card, give me my EBT card," you give it to him, right? The point of the power of attorney is if we were in an apartment, he would try to kick me out of it like he did at the campsite, and then I just have the cops remove him. That's the point of a right. You have to remember, I thought I was getting an apartment. Okay. That was the agreement for me staying with him. After June, that was the agreement for me staying with him because he wouldn't stop taking the card back. Okay. So when you make up another fight after what I just went through and you scream all that shit at me and then you say, "Give me my card back," that's it. It's over. He asked for the card back before I said something about the cruise, just so everybody knows. I still intend to go on it. You're not going on any cruise. Well, you're not going on any cruise. And when he walked away, I said, "You just nullified your wife, your power of attorney, and your healthcare proxy. You just fucking nullified it." Right. Um, that's not a hospital can't do that because a hospital doesn't even know that happened. They haven't spoken to me, and he's on an involuntary section because he's fucking mentally insane. I'm explaining myself. You just go, I couldn't believe he did that shit at Pearl Hill. Every time he does something, it's like worse, actually. Just you literally of course the cops go, "This guy's a druggie." I talked to them. They knew he was a drug addict that gets violent and that typically he runs off when he's violent like that. That's all that occurred with the cops. Right. So in an apartment, an ambulance would come. Right. Or he would have to leave with the cops. He thinks he can have you kicked out of your own fucking apartment. He's that insane. That's why I said I'm not moving into a housing based on your brain injury. I'm not doing that. Fuck no. I guess get rid of your wife. A power of attorney means I shut off your fucking card when you take it because you don't have access to your fucking DTA account. That's what I could have done. I guess the mistake was not going to the DTA office and giving them the paperwork because he probably wouldn't even have a physical card. Right, you just go I'm sure with Social Security, that's how it works. If you steal the EBT card, I go right online and lock your account so you can't even fucking use the thing. If your system worked as it should, I I gave up after Orlando. because they don't care. They think it's great because they're all sick. If your system worked as it's supposed to, I just immediately call the police Tuesday night and go, I need to have him sectioned because he took off. And they would go, well, is he doing something? You get what I'm saying? You go, no, nothing. Have nothing to do with any of it. Nothing to do with any of it. Your population's so fucking sick that nobody sane can do anything to help the fuck anybody or protect themselves. So I'm just done with it. Absolutely fucking done with it. I'm just watching you people just drop off. Yeah, just watching you people drop the fuck off, honestly. Just what would it possibly take? How insane would a fucking meal have to be before you get a call from the person's fucking caretaker? How come Father Bills can do that with Jen? They don't have power of attorney over her. Think in your fucking head how sick you are. Fuck you. All of you. Fuck you. You're fucking mentally ill and you're damned. How come Father Bills can call an ambulance for Jen? They don't have power of attorney over her. Fuck you. They're not married to Jen. They don't have power of attorney over her. How come they can call an ambulance and an ambulance fucking shows up? Not they go, well, if she comes back, fucking done with you things on many levels. Where's my copy of my police report from June? Fucking done. Done with you things on many fucking levels. Remember that insane animal? Well, you didn't talk to me. Go fuck yourself, animal. Go fuck yourself. Maybe in the future, because now I actually don't fucking care. You just go, well, you didn't talk to me. Go fuck yourself, animal. Don't ask God why you have fucking cancer. Deranged cunt. I don't get in a fucking battle war with you, you disgusting fucking cunt. You're not even a person. That's why I went, oh, okay. Fucking gruesome. Bull dyke fucking cunt. Well, you didn't talk to me. So the cop lied that I spoke to on the phone? Okay, great. Not getting a copy of a fucking police report. Don't bother dealing with the Cambridge fucking police. Don't even bother. Right. The guy I talked to that was super nice, you could tell he was from Boston. He sounded like a cop. Right. Just know this, dude. Don't even bother. Don't even bother. She probably would go, the police can't tell people they can have a copy of a police report. The police can't tell people they can have a copy of a fucking police report? How about no more fucking police reports? Mentally insane fucking animal.